I Must Burn. Part 1. Him. We were driving down the interstate after visiting my sister on the northern coast. It was dark, and the moon, like a playful child, hid herself under black blankets. Under her cover, we hid also from my family, and they're watching. And though I felt for the first time unafraid of their stares, I still could not shake the fear of letting him get too close. So instead, I turned my eyes into malfunctioning traffic lights, giving mixed signals of stop and go. Yet he was the one disappointed in himself, a gentle Taurus, a bull unable to take charge. He asked once, "Can you really put your faith in the positioning of stars?" But I would still put my trust in even the constellations of freckles on his arms if it gave any indication of the way his mind works. His name meant Mars, the Roman god of war, and allowing only my hand to meet his lips, he called me his Venus. I always wished I could have believed in his compliments. But my Libran heart is shallow and untrusting. I've spent many years bandaging my heart with yellow caution tape. Still, our fingers were drawbridges opening and twining. He danced with me under street lamps and strummed my heartstrings like he would Spanish guitars. So I let my fears escape just as they would through an open car window. And I enjoyed making hand waves in the night air, hair looking at the sky, and I kissed him as I imagined only Venus could. Part 2. Her. She was a craving. Like my need for drags on cigarettes, she was the same, equally as destructive. A surgeon general could have written warnings on every crevice of her skin, and still I would not listen. Unless by chance the same surgeon could rewire my brain, could somehow make it say again from the deepest lobe, "I only like men." She coaxed me, knowing that I had long denied that part of myself that longed for her. And with the blinking of her lashes, she mocked the second-degree burns on my fingers for the second time I reached for her hand today. We drove downtown hunting for walls covered in art. We searched for back roads with backstories, and I was amazed by the way that she would drape her leg over the steering wheel. It was evidence of her dancer past, evidence that safety belts could never fully keep her safe. She laughed if the car swerved and said, "I hope that I don't kill us both. But if I do, I'd hope that this moment was worth dying for." And last night I dreamt that she was a droplet of water, absorbing into my pores, knowing every edge of my imperfect face. And I dreamed that she would never feel hurt because of me, because of this cynical, abusive me who she placed so highly, but who treated her lower than the burnt-out cigarette butts I trampled with my sneakers. Part 3. Me. I placed my head on the cool window, the passing headlights reflecting my image on the glass. I sat still like I was being painted, lips drawn thin like an accidental streak of red. My father's yelling filled every inch of space in the car, so I molded closer to the car door instead. It was hard to believe that this man was my father. It was even harder to physically prove it. I tried to find traces of myself and where the lights illuminated the features on his face, but in this way too, we were nothing alike. So what you're saying is you believe God supports their sin? Do you think he would support a union of such sexual immorality? But I oppose both God and this man, my father, who was born the same day as Hitler. And while I tried to twist his words like hangman's noose, I was still poultry on the conveyor belt, prepared for decapitation. So I tried to better compose my thoughts and study the shaking of my palms, like right now. But my father doesn't lose arguments, and regardless of what I would say, it wouldn't change that fact. Has that school made you into a pagan? If homosexuals don't turn away from their sin, they cannot inherit the kingdom of God. I drew my thoughts back to her laughter, to the time we parked and sat backseat in her car listening to a mix CD. We found a leaf shaped like a heart, photographed it, and said that we can save it this way so that we never have to see it grow brown. I wrote her poems, constructed stanzas, rendered her to be eternal in my words. My father spoke in statistics, while I spoke in lovers' linguistics like he could understand it in the first place. So I allowed him to call me a sodomite, letting my ears fall on the word that a father would call his unconfessed bisexual daughter.